They're looking at our leadership saying, you know, when are they actually going to be true to their word?
They're going to say, see, I told you. They weren't really interested in doing anything.
Protests this week by some on City Council after Houston Mayor John Whitmire asked for and received a one-month pause to reevaluate a voluntary relocation plan for Fifth Ward residents living on land contaminated by cancer-causing creosote. Whitmire says the strategy in place appeared incomplete and lacked organization. He also says the cost of moving dozens of families could prove 6 times higher than the total of $7 million currently set aside by the city.
I just want to be as transparent and open with the residents as possible. They're depending on us.
Panel, the mayor was granted the one-month pause on a 12-5 vote, buying him time to reach out to the county, the state, and the feds, as well as the responsible party for the pollution, Union Pacific, in an effort, he says, to enlist more financial resources and collaboration. Tomorrow, I'm going to start with you here. Did this need to be done?
Yes, absolutely. And I applauded and sent him a text to tell him this was the right thing to do. The unfortunate thing, when people hear pause, they hit panic, because pause for so many of these communities means stop, do nothing, and that's the last thing that they want. But this absolutely needs to be cleared, because the difference between the land bank and the land trust is a big one, and that tax ramification that those residents will feel, some of them cannot sustain. You don't want to move out and be homeless a year later. So I applaud him for doing that. It's not just the tax ramifications, it's the light bill, it's the water bill. All of this is involved in that, and you need to know. And what I love, I spoke to Councilmember Tasha Jackson, who is also making sure that they get the details, and Kathy Buford Daniels, who's on the committee, is let these people know what they will do. And you all need to know they don't have to move if they don't want to move, but they need to know that if they have pre-existing tax on that property that they're moving from, that has to be paid first.
Gary, what's your take on all this?
Look, this is a pattern of the leadership we had from the Turner administration over the last 8 years, basically going off half-cocked. And so what Whitmire is doing is being fiscally responsible. This is more, I think it's going to cost more than we've allocated. We need to figure out how we're going to get it paid for. He didn't say he didn't want to do it, but he's got to go find the resources. And going to the parties he talked about is really good. This is actually a refreshing view of how the city should be run.
Yeah, you know, based upon my, I guess, interpretation of what the mayor was saying, he says, look, we're going to take care of these people. Just give me a minute to regroup here. Let me go Chow and then Bill.
Well, finally, one thing I would say is, why does our rear view mirror keep on working, Wayne and Gary? Let's stop talking about the last administration. Let's move forward. I'm glad to see progress, because so many of these families who I counseled, many of them, they don't have a pot to piss on. And so they don't have a voice. They don't have an option to live where they live. Let's give them the opportunity, let's give the mayor an opportunity to do this judiciously and make sure the families who want to move in a safe and respectful manner.
Okay, I'm going to go Wayne real quick.
Yeah, 2 years ago I did investigations of this for a lawyer named Jason Gibson, who's suing on behalf of the residents. You know, we have not raised the right-of-way fees on Union Pacific since the 60s, which is the amount of money we charge them to use the intersections in our city. You want to get the money? That's my idea. Jack up their fees. Let them take care of all this. Why am I? Look, I feel bad for these people. Horrible. Why is it my money? Why isn't it their money?
All right, Bill.
Well, first of all, I think you do have to look in the rearview mirror here, because he is inheriting these problems. Now, you know, 6 months or a year from now, I'll agree with you. But for right now, first few weeks of this administration, I think we got to admit that these are inherited problems. But the other thing to remember about this, one of the reasons that one of the concerns the mayor had was that there's like $1 million or more than that in consulting fees to send this money out. You know, who is getting that money? What deal was cut for that?
50 grand a house. It's only 42 houses. Make sure y'all understand that.
You know, I'm not great at math, but $2 million in administration for a $5 million set aside seems like
I'll go do it for nothing.
All right.
And I'll bet Gary will come help me do it for nothing.
Okay.
Robin Hoods. Thank you.
Okay.